Endless skies over rugged mountains, crystal clear lakes reflecting perfect wilderness, bubbling hot springs in impossible colors. This is Wyoming, America's least populated state, where nature rules and finding solitude is easy. Welcome to Globe Trek Roots, where today we're taking you beyond the tourist spots to discover Wyoming's hidden treasures. While most visitors stick to the famous landmarks, we'll show you the secret places that even experienced travelers often miss. In this wild state where bison roam free and grizzlies rule mountain valleys, we'll explore landscapes that seem unreal, yet have surprisingly few visitors. Join us as we explore Unseen Wyoming, a place of amazing natural wonders hiding in plain sight. Wyoming has the most geysers on Earth, over 500 across the state, which is 2/3 of all geysers in the world. While everyone knows Old Faithful, many equally amazing geysers erupt in remote areas where few visitors ever go. Wyoming was the first place in the world to give women the right to vote in 1869. 51 years before the 19th Amendment did this nationally. This forward-thinking move earned Wyoming its nickname, the Equality State. Despite being the 10th largest state by area, Wyoming has the fewest people with just 580,000 residents. Meaning there are more pronghorn antelope, about 700,000, than people. Wyoming's continental divide splits in two, creating the Great Divide Basin, a huge area where water doesn't flow to either the Atlantic or Pacific, instead staying trapped in the basin. Our journey begins in Grand Teton National Park, where jagged mountain peaks rise straight from the valley floor. While most visitors stay near the main roads, we're heading into Cascade Canyon's North Fork, where crowds disappear just 2 miles from popular Jenny Lake. This hidden valley offers perfect views of Grand Teton that most photographers never capture. The trail leads to Lake Solitude, a misleading name since it takes a challenging 16-mile round trip to reach, keeping most casual hikers away. Those who make the effort find a beautiful alpine lake surrounded by towering peaks, where you might hear only marmot whistles and distant avalanches. Grand Teton National Park has some of North America's oldest rocks, dating back 2.7 billion years, more than half the age of Earth itself. These ancient rocks contain minerals so rare they've only been found in 3 other places worldwide. From the Tetons, we head north to Yellowstone, America's first national park, and home to half the world's geothermal features. While tourists gather at the famous attractions, we're exploring Shoshone Geyser Basin, a remote area that requires an 8.5-mile hike but rewards you with dozens of geysers, pools, and steam vents without the boardwalks or crowds. Here, you can experience amazing hot springs in complete silence, often being the only person around erupting geysers and colorful pools. The basin has over 300 thermal features in 1 square mile, including Minute Geyser, which erupts every 1 to 3 minutes with only wildlife as its audience. Yellowstone sits on top of a supervolcano so huge that recent studies show it contains enough molten rock to fill the Grand Canyon 14 times over. Leaving Yellowstone's hot springs and geysers, we travel east to Devil's Tower, a massive rock column rising 867 feet from the surrounding grasslands. While most visitors stay at the main viewing area, we're walking the Red Beds Trail, a little-used 2.8-mile loop that circles the tower's base through forests and red-colored badlands. This path shows sides of the tower you won't see in postcards, where afternoon sunlight makes the huge columns glow amber. Away from crowds, this trail offers close encounters with wildlife like porcupines and golden eagles that nest in the tower's cracks. Devil's Tower remains one of geology's biggest mysteries. Scientists agree it formed from cooling magma, but they can't explain the perfect hexagonal columns that make up its structure. These columns are so precisely formed that mathematicians study them as examples of perfect geometric patterns in nature. From Devil's Tower, we return west to Jackson Lake, a beautiful glacial lake stretching 15 miles along the base of the Teton Range. While tourists gather at the marina and main viewpoints, we're paddling to Elk Island, the lake's largest island that few casual visitors know about. This forested island rises 250 feet above the lake and offers camping with possibly the most spectacular mountain view in North America. The entire Teton Range reflected in clear water with no roads or buildings in sight. From this quiet spot, the Tetons appear perfectly mirrored in the water, looking twice as impressive when morning light turns them pink and gold. Jackson Lake hides a forgotten underwater ghost town. The original settlement of Moran was flooded when the lake was dammed in 1916, raising water levels by 39 feet. During dry years, the stone foundations of the town's buildings sometimes emerge from the water. From Jackson Lake, we journey to the Wind River Range to find Green River Lakes, twin glacier-carved lakes that form the beginning of the mighty Colorado River. These pristine alpine lakes remain largely unknown because it takes 52 miles of unpaved roads to reach them. The difficult journey rewards visitors with perhaps Wyoming's most perfect mountain reflection. Square Top Mountain's distinctive flat summit mirrored perfectly in waters rarely disturbed by boats or crowds. The surrounding wilderness has over 100 peaks higher than 12,000 feet, yet sees far fewer hikers than Grand Teton. Green River Lakes sit at the headwaters of a river system so important that its water is legally divided between 7 states. The seemingly peaceful upper lake has powerful underwater springs that archaeologists believe indigenous peoples considered sacred for over 10,000 years. Back in Yellowstone, we discover new ways to view Grand Prismatic Spring, America's largest hot spring, whose rainbow colors look more like digital art than a natural feature. While most visitors see this thermal wonder from crowded boardwalks at water level, we're hiking the overlooked Fairy Falls Trail to a hidden overlook 300 feet above the spring. From this high vantage point, Grand Prismatic reveals its true size and perfect rings of blue, green, yellow, and orange, colors created by heat-loving bacteria that live in specific temperature zones. This hillside spot removes tourist crowds from your photos, creating images that look completely wild, despite being taken in America's busiest national park. Grand Prismatic's vivid colors come from bacteria that exist nowhere else on Earth. Organisms so uniquely adapted to extreme conditions that NASA studies them to understand how life might exist on other planets. From Yellowstone's colorful hot springs, we head northeast to Sunlight Basin, a remote valley between the Absaroka and Beartooth Mountains that remains one of Wyoming's best-kept secrets. This hidden paradise, reached by driving the winding switchbacks of the Chief Joseph Scenic Byway, contains pristine wilderness largely unchanged for centuries. Deep in the basin, Sunlight Creek has carved the deepest canyon in Wyoming, a 2,000-foot granite gorge deeper than parts of the Grand Canyon. Despite being so impressive, this canyon remains virtually unknown. With no developed viewpoints or information signs, just raw wilderness seen by perhaps a few hundred visitors each year. Sunlight Basin has geological oddities so unusual that geologists call it the Wyoming Bermuda Triangle. Magnetic compasses don't work reliably in certain areas due to iron-rich rocks in the ground, and electronic equipment sometimes malfunctions without explanation. Back in Yellowstone, we explore beyond the main boardwalks of Norris Geyser Basin on the Back Basin Trail, a path less traveled that reaches the park's most active thermal area. While tourists gather at Steamboat Geyser's main viewing area, we're going to its rarely visited backside, where super hot water erupts through narrow cracks with unusual force. This remote corner of the basin has multiple geysers that remain unnamed and unstudied, erupting without human witnesses most days. Here, the landscape changes noticeably each season as the powerful underground hydrothermal system constantly reshapes the surface. Norris Geyser Basin sits directly above the intersection of two massive fault lines and the edge of the Yellowstone caldera, creating the most unpredictable thermal area in the park. Scientists have documented mysterious disturbances, periods when the entire basin suddenly changes activity. From Yellowstone's steaming geysers, we follow the Snake River as it winds through some of Wyoming's most spectacular but overlooked canyons. While tourists crowd the famous overlook in Grand Teton National Park, we're exploring the river's middle section. A 13-mile stretch between Flag Ranch and Pacific Creek that flows through a forgotten zone between the two national parks. This peaceful river corridor offers solitude even in peak summer months. With gentle rapids suitable for beginners, yet wild enough to support a native cutthroat trout population that attracts fly fishing enthusiasts from around the world. The Snake River begins as a tiny stream in the remote Teton wilderness. At 9,500 feet elevation, forming a spring-fed pond only 3 feet wide. This humble start hides the river's eventual power. The Snake will travel 1,078 miles before joining the Columbia River. From the Snake River, we travel east to Bighorn Canyon, a 1,000-foot deep gorge carved through ancient limestone that rivals the Grand Canyon, yet receives less than 3% as many visitors. This massive canyon stretches for 55 miles, with vertical walls dropping straight into the emerald waters of Bighorn Lake. While the Montana section sees some tourism, Wyoming's southern portion around Barry's Landing offers amazing solitude, with hiking trails often showing no footprints but your own. The canyon's remote location creates a unique microclimate that supports both desert cacti and alpine wildflowers, plants that normally grow hundreds of miles apart. Bighorn Canyon's depths contain some of Wyoming's oldest exposed rocks, with 380-million-year-old limestone revealing perfectly preserved fossils of ancient sea creatures that once lived in a tropical ocean covering what is now high mountain desert. Back in Yellowstone, we rediscover Old Faithful, the world's most famous geyser that most visitors only see from crowded viewing benches. We're climbing Observation Point Trail, a steep 1-mile path that takes us to a hidden overlook 250 feet above the geyser. From this high perch, Old Faithful's eruptions show patterns invisible from ground level, with the billowing steam creating perfect spiral patterns as it mixes with air currents. This elevated view places the geyser in its larger geological context, showing how it connects with other thermal features. Old Faithful isn't actually the largest or most predictable geyser in Yellowstone. It's simply the most accessible. Over the past 30 years, the average time between eruptions has increased from 66 minutes to 94 minutes due to earthquakes changing the underground plumbing system. From Old Faithful, we venture to Jenny Lake, a glacial gem at the base of the Tetons that, while popular, still has hidden corners unknown to most visitors. While tourists gather at the East Shore Visitor Area, we're walking the entire 7.6-mile trail around the lake that winds through forests offering constantly changing views of the Teton Peaks. The lake's less visited western shore has hidden coves with perfect swimming spots accessed by unmarked side trails. From these secluded areas, swimmers can float in crystal clear glacial water while looking up at mountains that seem to rise directly from the lake's edge. Jenny Lake's extraordinary clarity comes from an unusual feature. About 40% of the lake's water comes from underground springs rather than surface runoff. These springs maintain a constant 42 degrees Fahrenheit temperature year-round. From the wilderness of national parks, we travel to Afton, a small town in Wyoming's Star Valley with surprising quirks rarely mentioned in guidebooks. This unassuming community of 2,000 people welcomes visitors with the world's largest elkhorn arch spanning its main street, a structure made from 3,011 elk antlers, collected without harming a single animal. Beyond this unusual gateway, Afton has unexpected treasures like the world's largest intermittent spring, a natural phenomenon that flows in 18-minute on-off cycles due to a siphon effect created by underground caverns. The surrounding Bridger Teton National Forest has dozens of unmarked hot springs where locals soak in natural thermal pools far from Yellowstone's crowds. Afton produces elite athletes at a rate 23 times higher than the national average, including Olympic gold medalist Rulon Gardner, who achieved one of the greatest upsets in Olympic history. From Afton, we return to Jackson Hole, Wyoming's most famous valley that still has secret spots unknown even to repeat visitors. While tourists fill the town square and surrounding blocks, we're exploring Antelope Flats at dawn, a sagebrush prairie that offers Wyoming's most spectacular mountain panorama, when early light paints the entire Teton Range in stunning colors. This vast valley floor has hidden gems like Shane's Cabin, the preserved set piece from the classic 1953 Western film that sits unmarked down a dirt road. Despite the valley's popularity, solitude remains easily accessible on the network of trails crossing the National Elk Refuge, which stays empty of crowds even during peak summer season. Jackson Hole has the steepest ski terrain in North America at Jackson Hole Mountain Resort, and the largest vertical drop in the United States, 4,139 feet from the top of Rendezvous Mountain to the valley floor. From Jackson Hole, we venture north to Lamar Valley, Yellowstone's famous American Serengeti, that offers wildlife viewing rivaling Africa's Great Plains. While photographers gather at dawn and dusk at designated pullouts, we're exploring the lesser-known Specimen Ridge Trail, a challenging path rising 1,500 feet above the valley floor to offer bird's-eye views of wildlife movements invisible from road level. This elevated perspective transforms wildlife watching from random encounters to observable patterns. Wolf packs positioning for hunts, bison herds rotating through grazing areas, and grizzlies patrolling territory boundaries. Lamar Valley represents one of the most successful ecosystem restorations in world history. After wolves were reintroduced in 1995, scientists documented a cascade of changes. Wolves reduced elk populations, allowing willow and aspen trees to recover, which created habitat for beaver, songbirds, and fish. Our Wyoming exploration concludes along the Firehole River, a waterway so unusual it defies categorization, where trout swim in waters warmed by over 50 geysers and 150 hot springs flowing directly into its current. While visitors stop at designated attractions along its banks, we're exploring the hidden Firehole swimming hole, a natural warm water pool created where a bend in the river catches thermal runoff. This unmarked spot combines 85-degree Fahrenheit water temperatures with a natural water slide formed by mineral deposits, allowing visitors to float through a thermally heated river channel surrounded by pristine wilderness. The Firehole River's unique thermal properties create a constant water temperature that causes fish to grow year-round rather than following normal seasonal patterns. Some sections maintain such precise temperature gradients that you can catch trout living in 3 different temperature zones with a single cast. As our journey through Wyoming's hidden treasures ends, we hope you've seen a side of this amazing state that few travelers ever discover. Beyond the famous viewpoints lies the real Wyoming, a wilderness so vast that even lifelong residents keep finding new wonders in its remote corners. What makes these hidden places special isn't just their natural beauty, but the effort needed to reach them. The unpaved roads, the steep trails, and the backcountry navigation that keeps away casual tourists and rewards those willing to go beyond the obvious. Thank you for joining Globe Trek Roots on this exploration of unseen Wyoming. If you've been inspired to discover these hidden gems yourself, please hit that subscribe button for more journeys to extraordinary destinations. Remember that the most memorable travel experiences often lie just beyond where most visitors turn back. Until our next adventure, this is Globe Trek Roots, revealing the world's hidden wonders one unmarked trail at a time.